Welcome to our live stream. If you have any questions during the time or just in general, ask away and we try to give the answers as soon as possible. So I think we can start with the part about Citadel, about the company. The event is called CAOS Citadel, and maybe some of you noticed that we also switched the names in some of our social media channels. We phase out a little bit the CAOS brand, which is the legal entity, and we want to have more focus on Citadel. That's basically all there is. We are still the same team behind it and still the same company behind it. We just want to give Zitadel much more focus than the company itself. So what also happened in January, which is great, we introduced now also a chat, especially for the open source community. If you want to join, please go to zitadelch.chat or /contact, and you will be redirected to our Discord channel. Then we will try to respond as fast as possible. So I think we can dive into the new stuff. What I noted down is personal access token, which is kind of a new feature that we introduced. And I think, Livio, you can tell us something about it.
Yeah, for sure. For machine-to-machine communication, Zitadel has service accounts. And the only way to authenticate service account until now was JOT profile, which is very secure, but not always supported, especially if you have some third-party tool which needs to authenticate and use Zitadel API, for example. Therefore, we introduced PAT, personal access token, which is a way of creating a borrowed token right from our API or from our UI. It then grants access to whatever the service account is granted to. So for example, if your service account is Citadel Manager, Org Manager, or something like that, you're able to call Citadel API and create users or whatever Citadel Org Manager is allowed to.
But our recommendation is still to use JOT if you can, or is it PAT?
It's JOT, just for security reasons. But if it's not possible, then go ahead and use PAT. Just be sure to handle the PAT as a normal access token. So don't share it or whatever.
Can you maybe give a quick demo how it looks in our console?
Sure. I have here service test account, which has a key for JOT profile. And down here, there are the new PATs, the access tokens. I will create now a token with no expiration date. Be sure to copy that one because we won't be able to create that specific one again. And for demonstration purposes, I will use my CLI and paste it down here. As you see, I'm going to call the OAuth or OIDC user info endpoint with the personal access token as a borrowed token, just like any other access token. And I will receive normal user info response. And as I said before, I could use that one as well for Citadel API. So for example, request some information about the project because the service account has permission to do so.
Perfect. Very nice. That was Pat and the demo about the personal access tokens. The next topic, and I think we highlighted that already in our last stream in November, was the actions which were in the preview. What has changed since November regarding our actions?
We made them available for all paid tiers in our public cloud, and we did some improvement to the UI design, or Max did, but let me quickly show that. So this is the actual UI. You now have code or syntax highlighting. So if you're typing here, it will highlight the source code as well as you will see all the states, even in the flow, if some action is, for example, inactive or is active and will be executed during the flow. So just a short and minor improvement, but we're planning on extending the flows and support for more events.
Very nice. Thank you for showing us a little bit more about actions. Also, to the users watching, happy to get feedback on that and let us know what you think, what you need. It's really something, I think, great for extending the base functionalities of our platform. Cool. So another thing that we actually talked about in the last stream was the query side. And I think, Silvan, you also showed some improvements there last time. So how is it going and what is the current state of it? And are we now ready to build more on that foundation?
Yes, I showed the last time how fast it could get, and the foundation we've built is, in our opinion, a very stable one. We are tracing our response times so we can see if the times match each other's, and they match exactly. It's pretty awesome to see that it works exactly like we hoped it will work.
Good, cool. Thanks for that update. And I think that is also that for new stuff. Yeah, that seems maybe like not that much, but actually I think that's something where we want to go into in the next section. As we usually do it, it's talking also about the issues and the fuck-ups that actually happened while creating, operating, and scaling Citadel. I think one thing that we can start with is feedback on our register flow. I think we started with a good register flow at the beginning. So we launched the service in May. That was a good thing to have. So actually users can self-register. When we now got more customers, and especially customers that are maybe not so tech savvy, I think we experienced a couple of minor issues during the register flow. Jörg, can you maybe give us a little bit more insight of how did we try to get to the bottom of the UX issues and what will we plan for the next time?
Yeah, sure. We received a couple of feedback issuing the UX for the register setup of Zitadel. And we decided to run a usability test on that particular user flow so that we can see where we can improve this register flow. The test revealed a couple of takeaways. The main ones are the wording was way too techy and misleading in some ways. So we improved the wording by using everyday language so it's more approachable for the standard user. Another point we did is we skipped over some unnecessary and repetitive steps. The users were a little bit confused about this repeating processes like entering the password a couple of times. So we made a more modern approach on that topic. Another thing was that 2FA was not a very popular thing among the user group. So we hope that these steps we made it much more approachable.
Okay, thank you very much for the feedback. And in case you have additional feedback when using Zitadel or trying out Zitadel, even if it's just a single thing that you want us to improve, it would be very helpful to know. We're happy for that feedback so we can take that into account. So to the issues, we had a little bit of an issue with our global organization. So maybe Fabian, can you explain us what is the global organization?
Yes, of course. We have some managed organizations which are managed by the organization itself. And then we have the global organization where the self-managed users belong. And the idea of the global organization was that there belong all accounts that are managed by yourself. So for example, in this organization, I had my Gmail account.
So the idea is good, but I mean, what we saw actually happening is people registered an organization, so basically a tenant within Zitadel, but some of them actually ended up in the global organization, right? So they were basically diverted as a kind of default then to the global organization. So if you find yourself in the global organization at the moment, what did we change to make it easier to get out of there?
Yeah, so what we actually did is we removed everything you can do in this global organization, and you are just like having your own account and manage this. So you can change your password, you can change your profile information, but nothing else you can do there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that update. Yeah. Speaking of that, I think raising the quality and improving the quality of the whole thing also in the release cycles, we are working on end-to-end tests and really come up with a good approach to do that on a continuous basis. So, Elio, do you think kind of the end-to-end tests will overall improve the quality of the product itself?
Yes, that's what we hope. We've set up the end-to-end test suite that tests the whole system from a user's perspective. So of course we hope to find bugs and errors before they go into production. That's one side of the story, but the other side, we'd like to improve developers' confidence so contributors can run the end-to-end test and make sure it works. One challenge is we expect deterministic results, and in an eventual consistent world, it's sometimes a bit difficult because it depends how much CPU and memory you have when your projections are updated, and that's something we have to figure out how to do correctly. But we're confident that we will manage this too.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the update. So let's talk a little bit about the roadmap. I would like to start with one topic, which is the virtual instance version 2. So Fabi, what will change?
We are currently building a version 4.2 of Citadel, and at the moment, if you say like you want to use Citadel, you just get like one organization in our cloud instance, and in the future you will get a whole instance for yourself. That means that you also can say what kind of default settings you want to have on your instance and decide the region where your data should be stored. In the future, it should be possible to say like, I want to have it in Europe or in Switzerland or, for example, even GDPR compliant countries, and we know where it should be stored then.
Very cool. So it's kind of at the moment, if you get one organization, basically when you register, in the future we'll get a whole system. What else was there why we decided to go into that direction of giving customers a whole system instead of just a tenant?
Yeah, so our main focus was actually the trust anchor. So we got a lot of customers who said like, I want that everything comes from myself so I can build trust to my own customers. Actually, that's our highest point, that the branding looks like your domain, the region where you want to have it. So you have it there where your customers belong. So everything is around like this trust anchor. And the second part is each organization is in our Citadel and can share their projects, but we found out that not all customers want to have this. So they want to have their own system and don't share everything with others. So they are just like independent from others.
It's an interesting thought. Fabian also talked about location, right, which was also a very important topic all the time when we spoke to customers. So, Florian, maybe can you tell us a little bit more about how do we achieve actually kind of this data location part of the equation?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge there is a lot of customers ask that their data stays towards at least a country or a data region. So we really want to make that happen with the version 2. There is kind of a challenge in between there because a lot of people want low latency wherever the customer is, but still want to have data at rest guarantees at some degree. The thing we think of that is kind of give customers both options. Like you can either choose to have the data stored within GDPR compliant data centers, but still giving customers the ability to have guarantees toward a specific country. And so we strategically assess where we want to open POPs in the future. And if you're in need of something there or have a region you're interested in, just give us a hint, because we really try to evaluate where we should open our data centers.
Perfect. Yeah. And maybe also good for the next point, because adding this data locality on top would have made kind of the pricing very complicated. Florian, maybe you can give a little bit of a glimpse of what the future public cloud service will look like in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, we decided to go the route that we give all customers more or less all features except some minor tweaks. For example, a custom domain or a guarantee that we store data in a certain region. You will pay for that a little bit amount of money on the side, like an optional thing to it. But still, you will get all the features from Citadel at the beginning, like you get multi-factor authentication, you get policies, you get all the white label and branding things we already have in there. So it should make it easier to integrate Citadel in your projects, because you don't have a boundary you're constantly pushing against the TO race with us. And so it makes it more predictable towards your use cases.
Good. Thank you very much for the update. Then one next topic is developing Zitadel, because Zitadel is open source and we get more and more requests from the community there. Can you give us maybe a little bit of an update? What do we do to make it easier to develop Zitadel?
We are currently working on different directions there. We are building a Citadel binary for every operating system, and we think this would help users to work with Citadel and run Citadel locally. Additionally, we are working on the documentation. We are just redesigned our README, which will be in the final redesigned version as soon as we launch version 2. And thanks to Mr. Böhler, we also support now Rust. So if you want a programming language supported, please talk to us and we can maybe find a way to to find contributors for that.
Very good. Cool. One other thing that will change, we decided to ship a rehaul of the user interface, specifically our console. So Max, can you maybe give us a quick view of how it will look like and tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I guess the main goal of the new rehaul is to make things a lot easier for end users. So yeah, the main noticeable thing that changed is the navigation. So we got rid of the side navigation and are working now with the top navigation. And here we saw the need that users wanted to have a shortcut to the settings, and those can be edited and are then saved on the personal accounts. In general, the console got cleaned up. So for example, you have your project and you have your granted projects, you have your human users and your machine users or service users and your authorizations. Another nice feature we're introducing is filter. Filter can be accessed by pressing an F key or by, of course, clicking the button. If you have a long list of users, you're able to filter them by almost any attribute. What's also new is with all the entities within Citadel, for example, organizations, projects, users, we have a so-called metadata layout. And here you can see the state of the entity, which is right now active. The resource ID is needed for your API calls. Primary domain can be used within the console to create a project grant, for example. And here on the right side, you have your Citadel members, so the people which are able to make changes on this organization. What's also new is we have keyboard shortcuts. So if you would press question mark, a dialog will pop up and show you all the available shortcuts from this page. So for example, press me for your own profile or go home and have quick access to those.
Thank you very much. One feature which is quite important is SAML 2.0. I think, Stefan, what are we working on right now?
We're currently working on the IDP side of SAML, and yeah, this also includes the part of the automation inside Citadel, so it should be ready to use as the tests are done.
Good. Last time I checked, SAML is a little bit older. So teasing question, obviously it's still very common, but why do we even bother with SAML?
Yeah, the biggest problem about that, a lot of enterprise-grade applications already implement SAML, but unfortunately not all the time used correctly. So the promised security is not always there in the implementation. That's also why I would still recommend using OIDC where possible. But still, as a lot of implementations use SAML, we try to provide the best possible option for that.
Good. We have still two quick things that we want to talk about. Fabian, what is going to change in terms of reporting in Zitadel till the end of the year?
Yes, in reporting we have like two different topics. Usage metrics we want to include is like how many logins do you have and everything that is kind of useful for yourself. And the second part is so you can export your resources, for example, all users with 2FA, so you just be able to do whatever you want with these resources.
Very good, thank you. And the last thing, we also got a lot of requests regarding login providers. So Livio, maybe you can say something about that. What are our thoughts going forward with that?
Yeah, sure. We also talk a lot about identity providers. So right now with our public cloud, we already have Google set up as identity provider, and we want to extend that to support even more. And for users or developers to set up new identity providers, we'll create templates, and you will only have to specify really required information.
And these templates, the community can actually also develop them, right? In the sense that if you have joint use cases, it can be reused.
Yep.
Good. Thank you very much for that update. Please drop us a line. You can always reach us over our website or in the chat, or send us an email on our contact page on the website. Then thank you very much for the time, and have a good rest of the day. See you soon.